Hello and welcome to Just Vintage Crochet. We're not going to use this color today. I want to make Caroline's shawl from Little House on the Prairie. I had so much fun making that Laura's little bonnet. I am working on how to figure out Mary's little Scooty bonnet. But in the meantime, I heard you all loud and clear. You want a shawl. So the thing is, on Little House on the Prairie, from what I've noticed, all the images I have looked at, even watching certain episodes and pausing them and looking very closely, she wore 3 different shawls on that show. Her very first shawl is, I'm pretty sure it's a knitted shawl. The other 2 shawls are crochet. Okay, we are going to look at my computer because my printer is very bad, especially with just screenshots. You won't be able to see it very well, but this is the one I believe is knitted. I do believe that this one is knitted. We're going to look at different versions of it. This one I believe is crocheted. This is much later on in the series, I would say somewhere around season 3. And you can see this one here is just a simple netting, but we're going to go over how to make something like that, exactly like that, and a very simple fringe at the bottom. Okay, and here is the Van Dyke stitch version that she had, and you can... We don't get the whole view of her face, but this is much later in the series. She's a little bit older. I think Mary is blind by this point. You know what? Don't quote me. But this is the Van Dyke one, and we're going to go over how to make one of these. This one does not have any fringe at all. And here is from the pilot of this series. This is the one that she wore in the first several episodes. Even Laura wore it twice. As a head wrap. And this one here, if you look it down here, I really believe that this is a knitted shawl. This is the one I believe is knitted. This one here, I'm hoping, I'm going to tag our friend Engineering Knits and see if she wouldn't be interested in giving this a try. Certainly not right away. I'm sure that she has other things planned and other things going on, but maybe down the road she can get to it and come up with a beautiful version of this in knit. I really believe it's knitted. Okay, but I do want to try to come up with something, a crocheted version of it. Here we see another. This is her older now. This is later in the series. This is that same Van Dyke stitch shawl with no fringe. I think that might be all the images. Yes, and isn't that cute? I want to try to make that. It doesn't come with a pattern. This is from a pattern, Peterson's 1862 book. Does not come with a pattern. This is the pattern. I think we can do it. All right. Back to the shawl. Okay, so for the first shawl, the sort of netting shawl, let's go ahead and chain 6, 4, 5, 6, join to form a ring, and let's chain 4, 2, 3, 4, and work a single crochet into the ring. And we're going to repeat that until we have 5 loops made. So 1, 2, 3, 4, single crochet, 1, 2, 3, 4, that's 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, single crochet into the ring. That's 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, single crochet into the ring, and that's 5. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now let's turn, and into our first loop, let's work a single crochet, chain 2, single crochet, chain 2, and work a single crochet into the next loop, chain 2. Now we're going to work an increase into our middle loop, our center loop here, so the 3rd loop over basically. So it's going to be a single crochet, chain loop, and chain 2, and single crochet into the same loop. Now chain 2 and work our way back down, chain 2, and into the last stitch, we're going to work a single crochet, chain 1, single crochet. We're going to turn, and into that chain 1 space, single crochet, chain 2, single crochet. The reason we're going to do that is because we don't want the part that goes on the shoulders to grow faster than the part that's growing down. We don't want it to be out of proportion. So we're going to end every row with a short stitch and begin every row with the regular size stitch. And this, every other row, is going to help keep the shoulder part portional. Okay, chain 2 into the next loop, single crochet, chain 2, single crochet into the next. Now we are at our center point increase, chain 2, and into that center chain, we work a single crochet, chain 2, and single crochet all into the same space, chain 2, next space over, to work our way down. There we go. Chain 2, single, chain 2. Now that we're at the end of the row, every row will end in the last loop with a single crochet, chain 1, single crochet. Then we turn and start each new row in that chain space with a single crochet, chain 2, single crochet, chain 2, and into the next loop over. We just continue to the increase at the center point. Now we're at that increase. We're going to single crochet, chain 2, single crochet into the same loop. Work our way back down to the end, chain 2. Very, very easy pattern. Chain 2. Kind of pattern that you can really just turn your mind off, relax, watch some TV, and next thing you know, it's done. Okay, when we get to the end here, in our last loop, we're going to work that single crochet, chain 1, single crochet, turn. Now into that chain 1 space, we work our regular stitch. Single crochet, chain 2, single crochet, chain 2, single, all the way up to that center point increase. Okay, now we're at the increase, single, chain 2 into that same space, single, chain 2, work our way back down. Okay, and then into our last space, single crochet, chain 1, single crochet, turn, into that chain 1 space. Make sure I'm getting into that chain 1 space. We're going to work our regular stitch, single, chain 2, single. Then we chain 2 and carry on. Very fun, very fast, very, very easy. So I'm going to continue to work this off camera for a little while longer. Okay, so I worked up a small sample size here for you, and here's how that will look when being worn. And I feel like it looks a lot like the one Caroline is wearing. And as far as the fringe goes, I am using 8 pieces of this thin, which is equivalent to 4 pieces if it were a sport weight. And you'll just come down here and pick one of your loops. You can go every loop if you want to, or every other loop. And there you go. And I would say go every other loop so that you don't overdo it, but you can easily go every loop, and that'll be fine. And so that is what I'm going to call Caroline's shawl number 1. Okay, so for a simple Van Dyke stitch shawl, let me get you down closer. It's just a matter of working a bunch of granny stitches. So let's start with a chain of 4, and we're going to form a ring. And you can use any size thread or yarn and hook with this. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's join to form a ring. And then chain 3 for your first double crochet. And let's work 3 more double crochet to complete our first Van Dyke stitch. There we go. Let's chain 2. That's going to be our center point. And let's work 3 more double crochet for our second Van Dyke stitch. 1, 2, and 3. Okay, let's chain 3, turn, and into the top of that very first double crochet that you have there, work 2 more double crochet. And that completes the first Van Dyke stitch for row 2. Now, without chaining anything at all, jump right over and work our point of 1 Van Dyke stitch, which is 3 double crochet, followed by a chain 2 for our point, and then 3 more double crochet for the next Van Dyke stitch. 2 and 3, and then without chaining, jump over to the top of this turning chain here and work 3 double crochet. 1, 2, and 3, chain 3, turn and repeat, yarn over and into the top of that last double crochet right there. We work our Van Dyke stitch. Then without chaining, jump over into the space between the 2 stitches, between the 2 groups of 3, and work your next Van Dyke stitch. And so we're not going to be chaining between any of these stitches here. We only chain at the point for the entire pattern. So we jump into the point, the chain 2 space, and we work 3 double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochet. Now, this pattern here doesn't have any fringe. You can add any fringe that you want, but if we are sticking to Caroline's shawl, there is no fringe on this one. And I've decided that in this video, I am going to go ahead and include that third option, trying to turn what I believe is her knitted shawl into a crochet shawl. So I'm not going to save that for another video. I'm just going to put three different shawls in one video. I think that's going to be a lot of fun. 3 in 1, especially since this Van Dyke shawl is going to be such a quick tutorial. It really gives me time to try to come up with a knit to crochet version of her first shawl that was in the pilot episode, and it was in the first, really it was seen a lot in the first season. 2, 3, we chain 3 and turn, yarn over and into that same stitch. We work a Van Dyke stitch. And then without chaining, we jump over to the next space between the Van Dyke stitches and we work another stitch. And we repeat in the next space over. And really, if you wanted to, you could probably just start with a chain 3. The chain 4 might be a little too big. Okay, now we're going to work on our point. So we just go into that chain 2 space and we work 3 double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochet. So I'm going to go ahead and work a few rows of this off camera to grow it a little bit to give you a really good idea of how it's going to look. And I highly recommend not chaining between the Van Dyke so that it's more close together. It's a little more tight-knit. It's a little more cozy because this is going to have, you know, holes in it based on the nature of the stitch. But if you chain one, those holes will be even bigger. So this just kind of helps cozy it up a bit. Okay, and then into the last turning chain. There we go. And if you want to, you can work a stacked single crochet. So let's do that. Instead of a chain 3, let's go into the top of our last double crochet made and work 1 single crochet. Then working into this forward loop right here that our working yarn is coming out of, right here. Let's work another single crochet, and that'll look really nice. And then right back into the top of that same double crochet, let's work 2 more doubles. Then over into the next space, we work a Van Dyke stitch. 1, 2, 3. Next space over, 1, 2, 3 into our point. 1, 2, 3, chain 2, and again into the same space. 1, 2, 3, and then we work our way back down. Next space. 1, 2, 3. Next space. 1, 2, 3. This space here right before the end. 1, 2, and 3. And then into the top of the turning chain, I'm going to go ahead and work stacked singles the rest of the time. 1, 2, and 3. Did I just work 1 stitch on this side? I feel like I might have. I think I did. Yeah, I did. Well, why didn't you tell me? You guys know. It wouldn't be a video from Just Vintage Crochet if it didn't have a reason for you to yell at your phone. Oh, blasted. Okay, well, you got that out of your system. You got to yell at your phone. Okay, I fixed it. I fixed it. Maybe I heard you in the future. I heard you in the past yelling at me. There. Now I'll work that stacked single again. Single crochet, and then into this we have 2 loops on the side of the stitch, and we're going to work into that forward loop. Here is the top of our stitch right here. Turn it to the side, and you've got 1 loop here and 1 loop here that your working yarn comes out of. That's the loop that we work in to create a stacked single. You know, no one ever accused me of being a professional, and no one's ever gonna. Let's work 2 more double crochet. Okay, so I'm gonna work a few more rows of this off camera. That way we get a pretty good idea of how it works up. So I will be right back. No more errors. Okay, so here's a couple extra rounds. You can see how it works up. It's really quite nice, and it'll work up really fast if you use a thicker yarn and maybe a hook or 2 size larger than your yarn calls for on the label. So like most here in the United States, Red Heart Super Saver typically calls for a 5mm or a 5.5mm. But if you use Red Heart, I would go with a 6mm or even a 6.5mm. And this will work up really, really fast. And this one doesn't require a trim, a fringe, if you want it to be just like Caroline's shawl. So now I have an idea in mind for the knitted version of her shawl. So I'm going to play around with that a little bit and see how it works out. And I'm really excited to bring that to you all in one video. So here we go. Give me a little bit of time and let's see what I can come up with. I kind of already have an idea. Now, as for the knitted sweater, this is the pilot episode. Here we go. This is the pilot episode. You can find this episode on YouTube. I'll actually leave a link for this video down below if you want to check it out. She's wearing it. It's a diamond, it's a triangle shawl for sure. It is not diamond pattern. So I think I have an idea of what we can do to crochet this shawl. There is, now it almost looks granny, like granny stitch. Like, I just don't understand. How many shawls in one episode that were red did Miss Ma'am wear? Okay, so I'm still gonna use the 5.5 millimeter, and I'm gonna actually start with a magic circle, but you can start with a chain 4 or a chain 5. If you're a tight crocheter, I would start with a chain 5 and join it to form a ring. Once you do form your ring, go ahead and chain 4. This counts as a treble crochet. Okay, now we're going to work 4 double crochet. 1, 2, 3, 4, chain 2, and work 4 double crochet followed by a treble crochet. So basically we're going to mirror what we did over here. So here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, yarn over twice and work a treble. There we go. Let's tighten it up. Okay, now let's go ahead and chain 4, or you can work 3 stacked singles, but I'm just going to go ahead and chain 4, 3, 4, and into the first stitch right here that our chain 4 is coming out of, let's work 2 double crochet. 1, 2. Now the first few rows are going to basically be the same. Then things will change up a little bit after that, but I just needed to establish a starter. So let's put 1 double crochet into every double crochet that we see. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. Into the chain 2 space, let's work 2 doubles, chain 2 and 2 doubles, chain 2 and 2 doubles, 1, 2. Okay, and then let's just repeat everything we just did. So 1 double crochet into each double all the way to the end, and in the last stitch we're going to work 2 double and finally another treble. So here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then in this last stitch here we work 2 more double crochet into the same stitch. I think I'll go ahead the next go around. I think I'll go ahead and do the stacked singles, because I really can live without having to work into the top of a turning chain, and I didn't even get it. I'm just struggling to get into that little knot. There it is. Okay, 1, 2, do that one again. Okay, 2, then we yarn over yarn over twice, and into that same stitch, we work a treble, a US treble. Pull through 2, pull through 2, and pull through 2. There we go. Now this next go around, I'm going to go ahead and work a stacked single starter. So we're going to work 3 singles on top of each other to equate a treble. Each row will start with a treble crochet plus 2 double crochet into the same stitch. So here we go. Without chaining, you turn, and into the top of that last treble crochet, we work 1 single, and then this loop right here is the side of your stitch. You've got this loop, and you've got this loop. This forward loop right here that your working yarn is coming out of is where we're going to work a single crochet. Now that's the equivalent of a double. We got to do that one more time, and that's the equivalent of a treble. And let's work 2 double crochet into that same stitch. 1 and 2. Okay, one more time, we're going to go ahead and put double crochets across, and then we will change things up in the next row, forgive me. So 1 double crochet into each stitch to the point. Okay, and then in the point is going to be worked the same as well for every row. Every time we work a point, it's going to be 2 doubles, chain 2, and 2 doubles. Chain 2, and 2 doubles. 1, 2. Now let's work 1 double crochet into every stitch to the last. And then in the top of our turning chain, let's work 2 doubles and a treble all into the same stitch. 1, 2, yarn over twice, pull through 2, 2, and 2. There we go. That is our 3rd row. Okay, now for starting round 4, one thing I had to take into consideration, do you see the ribbing? There's sort of a ribbing. It's a little bit of a terrifying moment. They're about to cross a scary river. There's some ribbing here. And so I have an idea for that. And remember here, make this bigger for you. Here we can clearly see there's also some open crochet work between the more solid rows. So I did come up with something. Let me know what you think. Here we go. Okay, this is what I came up with. Of course, I'm going to show you how to work this, but you can see the ribbing along, and you can see the more solid blocks. So let me show you how I came up with this. Okay, so let's start with our treble crochet. Again, you can do this with a chain 4 or stacked singles. I'm just going to go ahead and go with the stacked singles, just because I really like the way they look. They're a lot easier to work in. They're just nice. And then our 2 doubles all into the same first stitch. Every row is going to be end and begin this way. Now go ahead and chain 1. We're going to do some open crochet work, but we're going to do it front loop only to create that ridge. So let's yarn over, skip the next stitch, and in the next stitch over, work a back post, so you'll come in between the stitches, just like this, come around the back of the next stitch over as if you're popping it out, and just come up behind it and punch through, yarn over, pull through, and then complete your double crochet. Chain 1, skip the next stitch, and in the next stitch over, again, between the stitches, go in, come to the back. Of course, you don't have to flip it over every time. I just wanted you to see we're coming around the back like this, as if you're popping it up. And there you go. So every other stitch, we're going to work a back or every other stitch, we're going to work a front post double crochet, followed by a chain 1. Okay, chain 1, skip the next stitch and the next stitch over, work that front post double crochet, chain 1. Now we are at our point. You're going to skip the next stitch and work a front post double crochet around the next. This will be the back of the shawl here. Now without chaining 1, let's go ahead and work our corner 2 double crochet, chain 2, 2 double crochet. Again, without chaining 1, that very first double crochet, let's work a front post double, chain 1, skip the next stitch over, work a front post double, chain 1, skip, work a front post, chain 1, skip. There you go. Skip, chain 1, skip the next. We have 3 stitches left, our 2 doubles and our treble. Let's work a front post in that first of those last 3. There you go. Chain 1 and into the top of the very last stitch. So we're going to skip the next double. Let's work our 2 doubles. 1, 2, and work our treble. Okay, let's start round 5. Okay, and here is how the work should be looking. I think it's quite nice. I love the ridge. Okay, once again, we're going to start with our treble crochet. I'm going to work 3 stacked singles, and then our 2 double crochet all into the same first stitch. There we go. 2 doubles, 1 and 2. And we're going to work double crochets. So into the very next stitch, let's work a double crochet. And into the stitch after that, let's work another double crochet. There we go. Now into this chain 1 space, let's work 3 double crochet together. So you will yarn over, go into the space, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through just 2. Now you have 2 loops on your hook. Yarn over, go back into the same space, pull up a loop, pull through just 2. Now you have 3 loops on the hook. One more time, yarn over into the same space, pull through just 2, yarn over and pull through all 4. Okay? And then without chaining, yarn over and into the very next double crochet, work a double crochet. Yarn over and into the next chain space, we work our 3 double crochet together again, 2 and 3, yarn over, pull through all 4. Without chaining, we work 1 double crochet into the top of the next double. Just a moment. Okay, my son was in the kitchen. Okay, now the next space over, we work our 3 double crochet together. 1, 2, and 3. There we go. Next double crochet over, we work a double crochet. Remember, do not chain 1 after we complete those stitches. We want them to look kind of open and square, and we don't want to add any extra stitches either. On our way back, these double crochet between the groups, that's where we're going to work our front post only stitches to continue the ledge there, the ridge. So next space, 1, 2, and 3, 4 loops on our hook, pull through all 4. Yarn over, work a double crochet in the next double. Yarn over, work your 3 together, 1, 2, 3, pull through all 4 loops, yarn over, work a double crochet into the next double. Again, we work our 3 together in the next chain 1 space. 1, 2, and 3. And now we're going to work 1 double crochet here, 1, 3 together in the middle stitch. 1, 2, 3, and 1 double crochet on the end. Work our point stitch as usual, 2 double crochet, chain 2, 2 double crochet, 1, 2, work 1 double crochet into the first, work 3 together in the second stitch over, 1, 2, 3, work 1 double crochet in the next, 3 together in the next chain 1 space, 1, 2, 3. I think this shawl is probably going to be a bit of a yarn eater, but it does seem to be a very snug looking shawl that I'm looking at right now on my computer. It does seem to be a very, very full shawl with the exception of the spaces here. Okay, that's how everything is looking so far. I really, really like it. All right, let's carry on. 3 together in the next space. 1, 2, 3. Pull through all 4. 1 into the next double. 3 together. 1, 2, 3. Pull through all 4. 1 into the next stitch. 3 together. 1, 3 together, 1. You see how it goes. I'll be quiet now and we'll just work together. Okay, now we're just going to work 1 double crochet in each of the next 2 doubles. 1, 2, and let's end with 2 double crochet and a treble crochet into the last stitch. 1, 2, yarn over twice, and work our treble. Okay, so that's how things are looking now. There we go. Let's turn and work a treble crochet however you wish. Of course, I'm going to work the stacked singles throughout the entire pattern, but you can work a chain 4. So we start with our treble and 2 double crochets into the same very first stitch. Again, that's going to be the same for every row. Now we're going to chain 1, skip 1, in the next stitch over, work a front post double crochet. Chain 1, skip 1, and in the next stitch over, it should line up with the post just below it. So let's work another front post double crochet. Chain 1, skip the 3 together, and in the next double crochet directly over the other double crochet from the previous round, work a front post double crochet. Okay, and that's the repeat. You're going to skip the 3 together and work around the post of the next double crochet over, followed by a chain 1. There we go, right there. Chain 1, right there. Okay, so let's work our way up to the corner. Okay, now we're going to skip one stitch and work around the post of the last double crochet just before the corner. See there? So we worked a post, skip, post. Now we're going to work our corner as usual. 2 double crochet, chain 2, 2 double crochet. Now into around the very first double crochet, just like we did before, we work a front post, chain 1, skip the next stitch, and in the next stitch over, work a front post, chain 1, skip the 3 together or cluster. We can call that a cluster if you want to simplify it. Let's skip the cluster and work around the front post of the next double, just like we did before. Okay, let's work our way down to the end. Okay, we're going to skip this stitch here, and in the first of our last 3 stitches, let's work a front post, chain 1, skip the second double crochet over, and in the top of the treble, let's work our 2 double crochet and treble. 1, 2, yarn over, work a treble. Okay, let's turn and start as usual with our treble crochet any way you want to do it, and 2 double crochet all into that very first stitch. That's what we have now. Looks quite nice. Seems like it's going to work up pretty fast too, but I do think it's going to be a bit of a yarn eater because of our cluster stitches here. That's going to gobble up some yarn. Okay, so just like before, let's go ahead and work 1 double crochet into each of the next 2. 1 and 2. Now let's yarn over, and in that chain 1 space, we'll work our first cluster stitch, which is basically 3 double crochet together. I think it might just be simpler to refer to them as cluster stitches. Okay, and then in the next double, we work a double. So now you can see this is the 2-row repeat. 1, 2, 3. Next stitch over, we work a double. Okay? So you will keep working rows 5 and 6. Forgive me, rows 5 and 6, so 5 and 6, over and over again until the shawl is as big as you'd like. Okay, here on the very end, again, we're just going to work 1 double crochet into each of the next 2 doubles, and in the top of the treble crochet, we're going to work our 2 doubles and 1 treble. 1, 2, yarn over twice, work a treble, turn, and start with our treble plus 2 doubles. Here we go. 1, 2, chain 1, and we're going to skip the next double crochet, and in the next one over, we start working our front post doubles, chain 1, skip 1, front post double. This one here should always line up with the double just below it, just before the cluster. Chain 1, skip over the cluster, and work a front post double in that front post double. Chain 1, skip the cluster, work a front post, chain 1, skip, work a front post. There you go. Skip, work a front post. Okay, I'll come back whenever we get back up to the point, and then I'll leave y'all to it. When you get back down to the end, you're going to just finish exactly as we did before. Front post, skip, front post, skip, 2 double crochet, treble. Okay, so I'll come back and work this point with you, and then I'll leave you all to it. Okay, here we are at the point. So I've just worked a front post double. I've chained 1. So now we're going to skip the next cluster, work a front post double in the next double, around the next double, chain 1, skip, and then the last stitch before the point, we're always going to work a front post double around that stitch. Now, without chaining anything at all, we work our corner, or our point, sorry, 2 doubles, chain 2, or chain 1 if you want, and then 2 doubles. Then, without chaining, we work a front post double crochet around the very first double crochet. Then we chain 1, and here we go. We're going to skip the next double, and in the next double over, we start working our front posts again. Chain 1, skip the cluster, and there you go. Okay, and one more time. When you get down to the end, just use the row below you as a guide. This is where you're going to skip your cluster, work a front post double, skip, work a front post double, skip, and work your 2 doubles and treble into the top of the last stitch, turn, and start working your cluster stitches again. You can rewind this video if you need a little bit of a reminder on how to do that. There you go. That is how, well, let me flip it around to the right side. Okay, that is how it is beginning to turn out. Some of the images I'm seeing of Caroline, it does seem like she might be wearing a square shawl. Some of the other images in this same episode, again, I'm going to link the episode below if you want to watch it. It seems like she's wearing just a single layer shawl. So that means we're going to have to come up with another square shawl and have 2 Caroline patterns that are like this, but 1 square. Because in the Getty's image, it looks like it's an obvious square shawl folded in half. It just does. So we can still play around a little bit and eke some more shawls out of this woman's wardrobe. I really like the way this is turning out. Isn't that lovely? It's so textured. It's very, very pretty. I've never made anything like this before. Ever, ever, ever. Okay, so I have worked up a pretty good sample size here. And let's go ahead and play around with this border one more time. Let's look at the photo so that we're all figuring this out together, okay? So here you can see the border. Definitely, to me, looks knit. It also looks to me like we have some kind of shells coming here on the end, but first we need to start with some open crochet work. Okay, so for the border, let's go ahead and start with a chain 4. Let's see here, 1, 2, 3, 4. Turn to where you're working along your working edge now. Here's the shoulder edge. Here's the shoulder edge here. We don't want to work along the shoulders. We want to work along the point, going toward our point. Okay, yarn over, skip the next stitch. So the stitch that our chain is coming out of, that stitch is already worked. So let's skip the next stitch and work 1 double crochet into the next, chain 1, skip 1, work a double crochet into the next. So that's, and I did end, by the way, with our cluster row. Okay, so I would recommend ending with the cluster row. In fact, I would say you need to end with a cluster row with this pattern. So chain 1, skip 1, and work a double all the way up to the point. So I'll be right back, and we will work the point together. Okay, so let's do the corner of the point, the center point that goes down the middle of the back. I've already chained 1. I'm going to skip 1, and in this last double crochet here, I will work a stitch, and then I'm just going to, without chaining, I'm just going to work my usual 2 double crochet, chain 2, and 2 double crochet, because I don't want it to curl. I don't want it to curl up, so I'm just going to keep that consistent. And then again, without chaining, I'm just going to start into the top of the very next double crochet, then chain 1, skip 1, and continue on down to the end. Chain 1, skip 1, work 1, chain 1, skip 1, work 1. I'll be back whenever I get down to the end. Okay, let's end this row together. So I've already chained 1. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 stitches left. So I'm going to go ahead and skip 1, work 1, chain 1, skip 1, and work 1 double crochet into my last stitch. There we go. Okay, so from what I'm seeing by examining the photo, and I just did a little bit of a practice here, here's what I think we should do next. Let's go ahead and chain 3, and that's going to count as 1 single crochet plus chain 2. And then into the very next double crochet over, work a single crochet, US single crochet, US or UK double crochet, forgive me, UK double crochet. Almost said treble again. Chain 2, and then into the top of the very next double crochet over, work another single, chain 2, and repeat all around, or all across, I should say. So chain 2, and this is going to allow us a way to work some shells in. Like, we're not going to work shells in every loop, and that's kind of the way it looks on the image I'm looking at. So, okay, chain 2, next double crochet over, work a single. Okay, that's the repeat, and I would just, you know what, we'll figure the corner out together. I think it's going to be easy to figure it out. Okay, I'll be right back. Okay, I am at the center point now. I'm going to go ahead and chain 2. Worked my last stitch right here. We have these 3 double crochet in a row. I'm going to skip, work another single, and then without anything, I'm just going to go ahead and do what we normally do, but with single crochet instead. So 1, 2 single crochet, chain 2, and then 2 single crochet into that chain 2 space. There we go. And then again, 1 single crochet into the first double, chain 2, and I'm just going to continue to do what I've been doing all the way to the end. 1, 2, there we go, 1 single crochet into the top of every double crochet, followed by a chain 2. So I will be right back. Let's look at that point real quick though. Yeah, that works, I hope. Okay, so last stitch now. Let's go ahead and do our chain 2, and we have a chain 4 here. So skip the first chain, and in the next chain over, go ahead and work your single crochet. There we go. All right, now for the round with what looked like fan stitches. I'm going to practice this off camera really quick. I'm going to observe the photo and practice this off camera. So I'll be right back. Okay, so I played around with it a little bit. It seems like the math is going to work out. So here is what I came up with for us. Chain 3, turn, skip the first chain space, and in the next chain space, let's work 10 double crochet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Okay, now let's chain 2, skip the next chain space, and in the next chain space over, work a single crochet. Chain 2, skip the next chain space, and in the next one over, let's work our 10 double crochet fan, 2, or shell stitch, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Chain 2, skip 1 chain space, and in the next one over. So we're going to skip 1 chain space, and in the next one over, we work a single crochet. Chain 2. Now we skip the next chain space, and in the next one over, we work our 10 double crochet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Okay, here's how it should be looking. It's not looking so bad. Bear in mind also, the picture I'm looking at, it's fuzzy. It's not super clear, especially as I blow it up so that I can try to see some detail. So from what I'm seeing, this is about how it looks. It looks pretty good, actually. Okay, so let's just keep working this all the way to the point. I will meet up with you whenever we get close to the point. I think we're going to work a shell or a fan or however I've heard it called both ways. We're going to work 10 double crochet. How about that? Into the point. Okay, be right back. Okay, so here is my last shell worked. I have two chains left, or is that 1 chain? Looks like it's 1 chain and 1 single crochet left before the 2 single crochet in my point. So I'm going to chain 2 and skip this. I'm going to go ahead and work a single crochet into the top of this single crochet right here. Chain 2, and into my chain 2 space right here, I'm going to go ahead and work those 10 singles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Chain 2. I'm going to go ahead and I've got 1, 2 single. Here's another single right here. Okay, into the top of this single. Chain 2, skip this chain space, and in the next chain space over, so I skip this one, and you can see here we have the 3 double crochet, if that helps you based on visual reference. Start working my 10. Let's see how that corner looks. Yeah, that works. Yes, okay. Start working my 10 double crochets into this chain space. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Chain 2, skip 1 chain space, work a single crochet into the next. So skip this chain space, work a single into the next. Chain 2, skip the next chain space, and work my 10 double crochet into the next. Okay, I'm going to continue to do this all the way to the end. I'll be back with you when we get down to the end, and we will work that part together as well. But that's how that's looking. Honestly, this looks pretty just by itself. Like, why add more? This is looking so pretty all by itself. Let me show you what more needs to be added, which if this is done with a very, very fine, like this, just 1 single, a fine wool and knitting, which we all know knitting is a little more elegant looking. This is how the rest of the border looks, but I almost want to just leave it like this. Okay, let me show you. So that's too thick. Okay, let's see if this is thinner for you. Oops, I'm sorry. Okay, so we just worked some shells right here. And now we are meant to work even more. And I do believe this is knitting. I don't know, guys. I kind of want to just stop right here. Isn't it so pretty right there with just the shells? Like, do we really need all this extra? Okay, so now I have 3 loops left unworked. I just worked my last shell stitch here, chain 2, skipped 1 chain space, worked a single, chain 2. Now I'm going to skip 1 chain space, work my last 10 double crochet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Chain 2. And into the top of our last stitch here, if I can even tell what it is. I'm just going to call this my last stitch. I can't really identify it very well. Here is my chain space. All right. That's good enough right there. Okay, so yeah, hang on, let me back this out. I really do like the way this looks with just the shells. And I love the texture on this shawl. Look at that. Absolutely love it. I really like it with just the shells. What do you guys think? I like it. Okay, so I was just practicing a little bit. Now, if I were to continue with the way that the original shawl seems to me like how it looks if it were crocheted, I would start with a chain 5 after working our very last, chain 5, turn, skip the first 2 double crochet, and in the third, work 1 single crochet into each of the next 6 double crochets. So that makes 1 that we just worked, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, chain 3, work a single crochet into the single crochet, chain 3, skip the first 2 doubles and work 6 single crochet in a row, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm barely on camera. Chain 3, work a single crochet into the single, chain 3, skip the first 2 double crochet, and in the third one over, work 6 singles in a row, okay, so I'm going to keep working like this all the way to the center point, and I will be right back. Okay, so here we have, I'm going to work up a small sample of this border and see how it works based on what I have in mind. Okay, so let's pretend that this last single crochet here is actually been worked on the very end of this entire row. Okay, so what I would do is turn, work a single crochet, work 1 single crochet into each of these 3 chains. You can probably work around the chains, but I really think it would look nicer worked into the chains. There we go. 1, 2, 3, work 1 single crochet into each single crochet across, 1 single crochet into each chain stitch, 1, 2, 3, a single crochet into the single, and then again 1 into each chain stitch across, 1, 2, and 3, 1 into each single. So I'll be right back. I'm going to work this all the way to the end. Okay, let's work our way to the end here. We started off with 5, right? So I'm going to work, I probably should have started off with 6, but I didn't realize. So I'm going to work 1 single crochet into the next chain space, and then I'm going to work 2 single crochet into the next chain stitch, not chain space. There we go, so that we have our 3. Okay, now I'm going to turn, work 1 single crochet into both loops. What is the front of my work? This is the front. Okay, now I'm going to work 1 single crochet, back loop only, all the way across. And then on the return, I'll work 1 single crochet, front loop only, and see what that looks like. See if we like that. It's a very fuzzy picture. The more I zoom in on it, the fuzzier it gets. There's just absolutely no sharpness, no detail, no contrast, not a lot anyway. So just sort of have to come up with what we think looks good. So 1 single crochet in the back loop only of every stitch across. I'll be right back. Okay, so the idea I have for the remaining rounds is I noticed that what looks like rows, they're not super small. So doing back loop only, every row would create a ribbing. But theirs looks a little more further apart than that. I'll show you what I feel like it looks like. So I'm going to turn and not work back loop only this time. Just going to work through both loops all the way across. Like, I can't explain it as well as I can show it. This leans heavy into why I'm just not good at writing patterns as well. Like, it's not that I'm not good at writing patterns. I have written some well-written patterns. It's just that it would honestly take me twice as long to write a pattern than it would for me to work this out. I'm just not good with expressing what needs to be done on paper. It's just easy for me to show it and explain it, but not very well right now. I just don't know the words. I'm trying to find the words to explain what my mind is seeing. I think that's what's, yeah, I don't know. Some people can explain what they see in their head so well, so eloquently. Excellent orators. I am not one of those people. I'm better at just showing. I don't know if that means I'm an idiot. I'm not sure, but it's just the way I am, you know, and I know I'm not the only one. I'm not like unique and quirky and special for that. And I'm probably in a majority. I don't know. I hope I'm in a majority. I don't want to think I'm the only pattern challenged person out there. Okay. Last stitch. There we go. Now, on this pass, so basically whenever the shawl is facing the right side up, then we work back loop only. But the first stitch, I always work both loops on the first stitch, always. Then we work back loop only. Okay, and this looks a lot like what I'm seeing. So then we would go back loop only this row, and then just regular single crochets whenever the wrong side of the shawl is facing, and then whenever the right side of the shawl is facing us again, we would go back loop only. And I would do that for until it looks like you have a total, so it would be 2 rows at a time, a total of 5 or 6 of these, so that's going to be 12 rows total, 12 passes total to create that, because it takes 2 rows to create what looks like just 1 row. Or you can do any old border you want. I'm just trying to make it look as close as possible to Caroline's shawl. And I believe it's a knitted shawl, so trying to convert this into crochet. Okay, and that is how I think the border will look. I think it's neat. I'll be right back. Okay, so I worked a few more rows just to give a really good idea of how this will look with what looks like is on Caroline's border. See? That's what I mean. So I hope it looks all right. I don't know. Okay, so this next pattern doesn't have anything to do with Little House on the Prairie. It was sort of what I was trying to come up with. I was trying to come up with the knitted version, and I made this, and it doesn't look like any of her shawls, but I didn't want to get rid of this little quick pattern. I wanted to include it because it's cute. I don't want to turn it into a single video because it's just a few minutes, and so it's what I'm calling an honorable mention shawl, our 4th shawl. It's almost like the granny square one, except for all the stitches are worked directly on top of each other. Do you see? Boom, boom, boom. So I'll show you how I came up with this one. Actually going to be quite a bit warmer than the granny square one. There's a lot less spacing. You can start with the magic circle, or you can chain 3 or 4 and join to form a ring. And this is going to be kind of similar to the Van Dyke stitch, but just the placement's going to be totally different, and it's going to change the entire aesthetic. And in my opinion, it's going to make it a much, much warmer shawl, just as it appears in the image. Okay, so let's chain 3 for our first double crochet and work 2 more double crochet, just like how we started the Van Dyke stitch shawl. And again, we're going to chain 2, just like before, and work another group of 3 double crochet, just like before. 1, 2, and 3. Let's go ahead and chain 3, turn, and again, just like before, let's work 3 double crochet into the top of that first double crochet right there. Now this first round is going to be a little crowded. The second stitch over it, let's work another group of 3 double crochet. 1, 2, 3. Into the chain 2 space, let's work our point, which will be 3 double crochet, chain 3, 3 double crochet, 2, 3, chain 2, and this first row here, we're going to ignore the first double crochet and just work into the next one over. So we're not going to work into the double crochet that our chain 3 is coming out of, but the next one over, work 3 double crochet. 1, 2, 3. Now into the chain 2 space, let's work our point, which will be 3 double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochet, just like in the Van Dyke shawl. 1, 2, and then another 3. 1, 2, 3. Now here we have 3 double crochet. Let's work 3 double crochet into that center stitch. 1, 2, and 3, and then let's just work 1 double crochet in the top of the turning chain on the end here. Okay, Let's chain 3 and turn. Now let's work 1 double crochet into the stitch on the end. Jump over to the middle stitch right here and work 3 double crochet into the middle stitch of that group of 3. So we worked 1 double crochet into the top of our turning chain. So we have 2 now. Then we jumped over the very first double crochet here and into the group of 3, see? And we have 1, 2, 3 double crochet into that middle. That's where we're going to work our 3 double crochet, and repeat that into the center stitch of your next group of 3. Work your 3 double crochet. So all of the stitches are going to be worked center top of the ones from the previous round to create that sort of grid of blocks like what I'm looking at in this image here. So now into the chain 2 space, we work our center point of 3 doubles, chain 2, 3 doubles, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, and each round from now on, the last stitch will get 2 double crochet. So every new round you will start with a chain 3 plus double crochet into the same stitch, then jump over the very first double crochet right here and into that center stitch, and you just go, and then your last stitch will have 2 double crochet in it. Okay, so now we have our next group of 3, 1, 2, 3, and into that middle stitch, work your 3 double crochet. 1, 2, and 3. The next group of 3 over, 1, 2, 3, and then on the very end you have your turning chain. So 1, 2, 3, work in that in the middle stitch, and work 3 double crochet in the middle stitch. 2, 3. Now we're going to work 2 double crochet into the top of this turning chain. 1 and 2. Chain 3 or a stacked single, and into that very first double crochet that we just made right there on the end, work 1 more double crochet, just like that. Now jump over to the group of 3 and work that middle stitch. 3 double crochet. Oh, I got me a little knot going here. There we go. Okay, that's 1, 2, 3. Let's see if I can get a little more light. The sun is starting to set a little bit. Okay, next group of 3 over, 1, 2, 3, and in the center stitch, work your next group of 3. I think you guys might be starting to get the hang of it. And then the next group of 3, 1, 2, 3, working in that center stitch, we work another 3 double crochet. That way all the stitches are stacked on top of each other like a grid. And then we work our 3 doubles, chain 2, 3 doubles into the center, chain 2, 1, 2, 3 doubles, 2 and 3. Again, our next group of 3 in the middle, work 3 double crochet. 1, 2, 3. Next group over, 1, 2, 3. Next group over, 1, 2, 3. Then we're going to work 2 double crochet on the end. 1 and 2. And there we go. It's starting to take shape, and it does look like Granny. I'll show you the picture. I'm not exactly sure, unless this is not a triangle shawl. This could be a rectangular shawl. It's the only other way I can think to accomplish that. Let me show you the image on my computer again. That could very well be a rectangular shawl, like a wrap almost. Maybe they're not making this one triangular. Although in the first episode, she wore it like a Sontag at times. So I'm just confused. Nonetheless, I think that this version of an almost granny square shawl will be much, much warmer. Much warmer. So I would chain 3, work a double crochet into the top of that same stitch, then jump over to the group of 3 and just start working my groups of 3 again, over and over and over again. So I'm going to work a few rows of this off camera. Now I'm starting to wonder if this isn't a rectangular shawl or a wrap. And that gives me ideas for maybe even actually another video where we make a wrap with a very similar stitch. Now my interest is piqued even more. I'm going to have to look into this woman's shawl. Okay, in the center, 3 doubles, chain 2, 3 doubles. One, 2, and 3. Then on our way back down, we just keep repeating. Next group of 3 over. 1, 2, and 3 right into that center stitch, and then on the very, very end we work 2 double crochet into that last stitch. So that's how that one's turning out, and I quite like it actually. I do. It just seems, it almost seems more textured as well. It really does, and it definitely seems like it would be warmer. You guys, so those are my versions of what I think each one of Caroline Ingalls shawls looked like. I saw a definitive 3 different shawls. I threw in an extra shawl there because that pattern was a lot of fun to make, and it doesn't look anything like any of the shawls that she wore, but it was too cute of a pattern to not include in this video. So that one there is just sort of a one-off, an honorable mention, so to speak. Okay, so please let me know what you think. This one here is probably my favorite, along with that little 4th bonus one. I love the texture. You know I love texture. I really like this. Let me know what you think of the different borders. And are you going to try it with the single crochet border or just the shells? You know, you really have a huge difference here to choose from, in my opinion. And did I nail it? Does it look like I got close at least? Okay, well, this was a lot of fun. Now, as soon as I get off of here, I'm going to finish working on Mary's little scooty, little hooded scarf. I think that one there looks like a lot of fun too. I'm about halfway done with it actually. So, and we also have some more mystery patterns coming up as well. I think I'm gonna do 2 in a row. So I will see you guys real soon. Thank you so much. And thank you so much for being as excited for Little House on the Prairie crochet as much as I am, because I was really hoping you guys wouldn't say no. I was really hoping you would say yes, and you didn't disappoint. All right, I love you guys lots. I'll see you real soon. Bye.